roll up, and hear all about the latest victim of the all-powerful, unblinking thought police. I speak of Conservative MP Ben Bradley, who's found himself being likened to a Nazi or a professor of eugenics for comments made 6 years ago at the height of the row over the benefits cap. Now, admittedly, the way he put his point over was clumsy, but at the heart of what he says lies a glaring, undeniable truth. Amid other comments, Bradley said, quotes, "How many children you have is a choice. If you can't afford them, stop having them. Vasectomies are free." Close quotes. He's not, as the drearily predictable ensuing witch hunt claimed, ordering unemployed people not to have children. Rather, they should be able to afford them. Now, allowing for the fact that in reality most of us remain blissfully unaware if we're about to lose our jobs, surely when it comes to long-term unemployed, this is as simple as kids stuff.
OK, so, Nick, in Ghana, we have a word, and the word is kwasiasem. And
genius. You're right. Well done.
And the translation, I can't even think of the right English translation, but the closest thing would be nonsense.
Right. Okay.
Absolute nonsense. I think what you're saying is actually quite dangerous.
Tell me why.
Because it is bordering on eugenics. So basically what you're saying is that only people with money should have the choice to have as many kids as they want.
No.
Well, what else are you saying?
You can have as many children as you want.
Right.
But don't expect the state to pay for them.
No,
I'm not saying don't have children. You must have some degree of fiscal responsibility yourself. I'm not starting... If long-term unemployed people want to have 15 children, as long as they find a way to pay for them, fine.
But that's not what Ben Bradley was saying.
It is real. It is real.
I don't think so.
He doesn't say long-term. That's where he went wrong.
I don't think so.
I allow for the fact that I don't know if I'm going to lose my job tomorrow, although I won't have children, but I allow for that.
But don't you think, Nick, rather what we should be looking at, the issue shouldn't be about how many children people are having. The issue should be how do we help people, how do we help the long-term unemployed get into work?
Respectfully, that's a separate conversation.
It's not, because actually if we're tackling that problem, then we wouldn't even be having your conversation.
Yeah, OK.
At all.
You were shaking your head and tut-tutting, as were you, Majid.
In Urdu, Nick, we have a word called bakwas. Which basically means nonsense.
Cobblers, yeah.
Right. Now, before I tell you what I think...
Majid. Kwasiasem?
Bakwas.
Exactly.
Shall I give you the English word?
Yes.
Nonsense.
I'm going to give you the whole words when you're done.
Oh, yeah. I want the next in line.
I'm going to tell you what I think. But I think let's just... Ben Bradley has... apparently attempted to issue what I would only call a non-apology, that I think others are calling an apology. So let's check out what
OK.
The broad issue that I was trying to address was that there are a lot of people, particularly in places like Mansfield, who work very hard and have to make very difficult decisions financially about whether they can afford to have kids. I found that people find it frustrating when a very small minority of people appear to take advantage of the benefit system. And now we have the benefits cap, and we have a 2-child limit on child benefit, and hopefully those things can't happen anymore. But language aside, that was the broad point I was trying to make, and I still stand by that.
So language aside, I just happened to call for the vasectomy of poor people, and I called them unemployed wasters. Language aside...
I don't recall unemployed wasters.
Yes, unemployed wasters. If only he had spoken in such measured terms to begin with, we could have had a reasonable conversation about people taking personal and individual responsibility, which I agree with. However, he didn't say that. No. He called for people to be vasectomized and called them wasters. And actually, I think... If you carefully look to that video, the word sorry wasn't mentioned once.
Right.
Did you hear the word sorry?
No.
But he didn't. He said vasectomies are free. He didn't say that people should. He pointed out the availability of it. He didn't say
What's
they
the
should
implication?
be. I grant you that. I grant you that. But hold on a second. You say, just lastly, you say you believe in fiscal responsibility.
Yeah.
Majid, if you can't afford to raise a family, why should you have the children?
Well, so I believe in fiscal responsibility, and currently the benefit system...
You support the heart
what
of
he just said there in that video
Yeah.
is a reasonable response to reforming the welfare system that we have. And in his response, he said that there is a cap on 2 children.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
I have no problem with that. I wasn't involved in the debate that led to it, but now, learning that, I have no problem with the fact that it's capped at 2. And if you want more than 2... then work out...
So, as I said, his language is clumsy.
Clumsy is an understatement.
OK, his language is offensive.
Well, then you
But the heart of what he says, you agree with.
Well,
No.
The responsibility.
You should.
Can we hear the whole version?
Yeah, give us the whole language.
Yeah, in Hull we have 2 words.
Oh, yeah.
Spot on. Very simple. So, absolutely, the words that.
Not the 2 words I was expecting, by the way.
Do you have a Ghanaian for that?
We have a lot of words as well. I'll tell you some of them in the break. But the 2 words I would apply to your thing is spot on. The words that Ben used were poor, they were not professional, but this is a young guy writing online 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The reason that you're saying his apology is a non-apology and all the rest of it is because he's been bullied
Well, I didn't use the word
into...
sorry.
No, but he's been bullied into making this statement, and I'm coming on to this in my topic because I feel strongly about this happening to people. He's been cajoled into making this statement for something that actually he agrees with. His point is very valid, and I'm one of 6 children, so I am all in favour of if you want loads of kids, my friend, you go and have loads of kids.
Yes.
But what I am not in favour of is when you don't exercise respect for other people, personal responsibility, and you expect, actually, to have all of your children and expect other people to pay for them. I find that disrespectful.
Do you think he should have said sorry for the word unemployed wasters and for implying they have a vasectomy? Do you think that deserved an apology?
I think he should have had some balls to stand up and say what he thinks, which is my point is valid, but the words were wrong, and for the choice of words, I apologise for those words.
So he didn't say that.
Let's find out what the word is in the trendy eateries of West London.
But surely what we decided as a society many years ago is that we would help fund children.
Right.
It's not about the family, it's about the child. It's making sure that there is some money going into that household to protect and help that child.
We do that, Greg.
Who didn't choose to be born.
They're going to help 2 children there. We're doing
Yes, no, I've no problem with putting a
Bit
cap
rose
in the
tinted,
rest
though.
of it.
You think all the money goes to the kids?
I think in many cases, yes. I think yours is the. I mean, you know, every so doing the show with you, I suddenly think you gradually get more liberal, and then you revert.
Yeah, then you come with this.
Revert back to being the son again. You know? I mean, this story has been in or stories like it has dominated things like the Sun and the popular press for years. Scroungers.
Yeah.
Actually, I've no doubt there are a few people who might make a decision to have children because they think it would get them more money. I don't think that's in any way the majority.
No
Which in that statement...
And therefore, it seems to me to make the blanket suggestion he's made that everyone who's unemployed should get a vasectomy, which is really what he's saying.
Which is wrong. And I keep saying long term.
And the point is, if that's what you think, Nick, then I don't think you should have used his argument anywhere near your conversation, because actually what you've done is conflated the 2. You should have just made your debate today purely about what you think and not brought his rude and offensive statements anywhere near your argument.
But that's the conversational point, and that's why he's hooked into it.
No, but that's not why, because what he's saying is that he actually thinks that what Ben is trying to say is one thing, and what I'm saying is clearly Ben's words are not that.
No,
so Nick should say what you believe.
So do you agree with me with long-term unemployed? No. So you can have as many children as you like and expect the state to... I won you over a little bit.
I already thought that.
All right, OK. No,
there are a small minority of people who appear to take advantage of the benefit system. If only he'd spoken in those measured terms.
In those terms in the first place.
That wasn't what he said.
And that's why I'm saying agree with that.
No, but then you would have to say, OK, are we going to change the whole system because of that small minority? Or do we accept that in the end you bound in any system where you give handouts, someone is going to abuse it.
Exactly.
But you've got to look and say, well, are the majority not abusing it?
And you act as if benefits is this unlimited amount of money.
No, it was when he wrote that.
Very difficult.
Yes, because of Ian Duncan Smith's excellent work.
I am very proud that we have a society that has a welfare state that acts as a safety net for people that cannot, for whatever reason, they've got disabilities or they're poorly. So I'm very proud that we've got that welfare state. What we do have and what we shouldn't have, and this is what he was getting to, we should never have a situation where you can choose to be on benefits as a lifestyle choice. So the benefit society should help you in your times of need. It should never be a lifestyle choice. And that's where I have a problem.
I agree with that, and I think what we need is better mechanisms. No. What we need is better mechanisms to actually help train the long-term.
Duncan Smith put it right. It's a hand up, not a handout.
Yeah. But Nick, what would you have done to the family with 6 children and both mother and father suddenly are made redundant and are unemployed?
Well, I did say long-term unemployed, because I know unemployment...
They could well... I mean, there are places in this country where you are going to be a long-term unemployed if you lose your job.
It's worth saying this week we learnt that employment is at a 40-year high, which is great news. I mean, we probably couldn't even get higher employment than this, really.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think you almost got full employment. Anyway, it's time we moved on. And,
yes, thank you.
And forgot that maybe Nick can go back to being a Liberal.